It started off with Jake Applegate at tight end. Jake Applegate went into the portal right away, day one. And then Javier Morton, who had already declared for the portal, went in officially this week, but he declared 2 months ago that he was entering. And then Tamon Lynham, who they nicknamed Mondo, he went in the portal on Thursday. So Steve Sipple, just 3 scholarship players that have gone in the portal. There's 1,179 FBS players, according to On3, that have entered the portal.
Right. And we expected it to be a pretty light from a Nebraska standpoint of guys going into the portal. It has been light. Lynham was I would say he was a rotational player.
Special teams player.
Well, and yeah, he played corner. When Newsome went down, he was the guy that would go in. And others. He played. I like Lynham. That's the thing. I like him. I'm interested. I was interested that he went into the portal. It's not a devastating loss by any stretch of the imagination. Applegate played a position that you think about, it's loaded. I mean, that Applegate played tight end. That's Fedoni. That's Borkacher. That's Luke Lindenmeyer. That's Keelan Smith coming in. That's come on. I mean, they keep going. Ismail Flores.
Smith had a huge year.
State championship game. He was a major
like
factor.
That's going to be one of those ones, I think, where you look back at it and like, yeah, they found one. And it's amazing that Neil Smith's son was kind of under the radar.
Right.
I mean,
that's Neil Smith's son. We talked to Neil about him. We had Neil on the show. So yeah, those make sense to me. And there'll be, Sean, I think there'll be some others, but again, pretty light.
Yeah, and you heard Jeff Sims is expected to go in. Now, and back to the agent discussion, I mean, that's where the agents kind of tip off guys like Pete Nakos, Chris Hummer at 24/7. They talk to the guys like that and give them a heads up, hey, our guy's going in. But a lot of times, if you're a Jeff Sims, you're not going to go in until your ducks are in a row.
Right.
Like, you don't want to just fly the plane with no radar. You want to go in there knowing what you're going at.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Sims' situation is kind of tricky. He 6 interceptions at Nebraska in 47 attempts this year.
Like, where would he go? Like a FIU or Georgia Southern? Or
Pete Nakos mentioned Group of 5.
Yeah, like a Sun Belt.
Perhaps, yeah.
Maybe
Mac.
USA.
Maybe Mac. He seems like I would think warm weather maybe for him, but I don't know.
Boy, if Frank was still at Ohio, he'd been a great Frank Solage offense quarterback.
Yeah, maybe.
Just the way he runs.
Yeah. Also the way, there's also the turnover issue that I don't know. He's got a kind of a tough road. Pete mentioned something important. He's got to go somewhere where he can get some reps and get his confidence back. I don't like to say guys lack confidence because for all I know, Jeff Sims would walk into this room and say, I got a ton of confidence. Why are you saying I don't? I would say to him, it's reflected in your play that you don't. It doesn't look like you're a confident player to me.
And Matt Rhule brought up a great point. What if Nebraska didn't open up with 2 road games in sold-out stadiums against Minnesota and Colorado, Power 5 opponents? What if they played UTEP in North Dakota?
It's a decent point, except now hold on. I mean, and I get what you're saying. They're kind of hornet's nest. That stadium in Minneapolis was packed, and it was a hornet's nest in Colorado. But what Colorado finish?
Exactly. Well, the timing of
Colorado
4-8, right?
Yeah, 4-8. What Minnesota finish?
5-7.
It's not a top 25 team. I mean, those games were doable.
No doubt.
Nebraska had that game in Minnesota. They had it in the final 5 minutes.
What if, I'm going to throw this out there. What if Sims would have started against Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech?
Right.
Could he have worked out his issues?
I don't know.
I mean, was that ankle? I mean, was the ankle? I mean, was it that bad where he couldn't have played at all in those games?
I don't know.
And I mean, it felt like they were ready to move on from Sims at that point. And they gave Harburg went 5-1.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that even against. Just go back to the idea, this notion of starting against UTEP and Northern Illinois for Jeff Sims. Would he have worked out his issues? I don't know. I'm not convinced that they would just automatically go away because you started against 2 subpar teams. Northern Illinois subpar, by the way, they're in a bowl game. I mean, how much better is Colorado than Northern Illinois?
Well,
I don't know. Are they that much better?
Well, and the thing about Big Ten defenses too, when you start to play these Big Ten games, is guys aren't open. So like you have to make tight throws.
Yeah.
Like you have to find like a small window to get guys. I mean, no one's just running wide open. I mean,
not very well, yeah.
Jalen Lloyd a couple times, but you don't get those kinds of throws in Big Ten games. And Sims didn't really prove that he was consistent enough to make those throws.
Right. And you got to throw guys open. It's not easy. And now Sims walked into a tough situation because Nebraska had that spate of injuries. I mean, I want to show him some grace.
He could have won the job back at Maryland against Maryland, though.
Yeah.
He got in there.
Yeah.
They went to him, and like there were some early moments where like, wow, okay. Then he had 3 turnovers.
Right. So it's, yeah, it's best that he move on. Isn't it? I mean, it sounds really rough when we talk about Sims, but he's a grown man now and he's made a lot of money.
Think about, I mean, just the sponsor things that he got. Like, you'd love to be a fly on the wall with like Amigos and John Deere, Acres Equipment, and just some of those people that, I mean, it's a lesson, I think, for a lot of people.
It is.
I don't know, even if they get Cam Ward or Kyle McCord, a big name quarterback here, I don't know if you're going to see people wanting to jump on board.
I don't know, Sean. Now listen, McCord's proven. I wouldn't say that about Sims at Georgia Tech. His numbers at Georgia Tech, 30 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. That's not like McCord. I mean, McCord's more proven than that. So I think you would get boosters. That'd be my answer to you. I think you would get boosters who'd be enthusiastic in helping Nebraska with McCord.
And those deals, by the way, are separate than the collective. So like the collective has their own service contract agreement, but like the Amigos thing, the Acres Equipment deal, Gary Michaels, those are all separate things that guys get with NIL. And everybody went all in on Jeff Sims. And
right now it's not, but I want to reiterate something. It's not that, to me, it's not the same conversation. That I don't think a booster would look at it and say, no, we got burned by Sims. I'm not going to get burned by McCord. You assess these matters separately. Even Shapen's ratio at Baylor's 36 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Much better. Sims couldn't point to a league championship game where he completed 17 straight passes. Sims's ratio wasn't good. He had a turnover history.
What was his best career win?
Right. So Shapen, yeah, I mean, it's different. So I know this, if I were a well-heeled booster, I wouldn't look at the situations the same. I'd say, wait a second, McCord? You're getting McCord? And I'd say, how can I help? I mean, what do I need to do? That's the kind of guy that could put Nebraska in position, really position Nebraska to get to a bowl game next year.